In this video, I'm going to be building a cabinet to put this shop vac in. And I'll be making it out of that used lumber over there. That stuff came from a TV cabinet that I made a long time ago. While I'm not a big fan of using old materials to build something new with, because all this time you have to spend messing around to clean it up, and the potential of cutting into a nail or a buried screw or whatever is too great for the tools. I still don't like to throw away good plywood. This is good 3/4 inch plywood that I bought many years ago. I know I got my money's worth out of it, but still I like to make some use of it rather than just bring it out and burn it or throw it in the garbage or whatever. So now that I've got all the material cleaned up and ready to use, I need to look at the area where I'm going to put the cabinet, and it's right here, above this spindle sander. That's what this is called. I'm thinking standard height from, say, the top of a kitchen countertop up to the underside of the thing would be more than enough. And that's usually around 17 or 18 inches. And then I don't know how tall this thing is. As you can tell, I'm not working from plans here with this. So this is going to be a design on the fly type thing. So it's about 25 inches tall. Widest dimension is these handles here. And those are about 20. So how much space have I got here? I've got, because I can't go over on the window frame here, I've got 25 and a half. And then I can't let it stick out past my station here. And this is 21 to the face of the drawer fronts here. So I'm going to try to come up with something simple that works with those dimensions. So what I basically did was I just gave it a little bit more thought and, drew up a rough sketch here on the piece of plywood. Mostly doing this in my head because I can picture what I want it to be. It's very simple. Two sides, a top and a bottom, no back to maximize depth. Also, you don't need a back because the cabinet is not actually being used for storage, so the wall behind it shouldn't be damaged or anything like that. The cabinet itself will be hung up on a French cleat to hold it up there. And very simple and straightforward. I've got my panel cutter set up on the table saw here. I'm going to square up this first panel here and then cut it to 30 inches long. And then I'll do the same for the other panel on the other side and the top and the bottom. Again, I'm not doing anything fancy with the assembly. Just going to be driving in a few 2-inch screws to hold it together and no glue. It's not that I've got anything against glue in this situation, it's just that it's not needed. I installed the top panel flush with the top up there, but the bottom panel is 3 inches up from the bottom. And that's for the switch that's going to go in here after to turn on the vacuum. I just finished adding this cleat to the back here to hang it on the wall. And I take the vacuum and slip it in and see how it fits. So this is going to go sideways like this so that the inlet is at this back corner so that the pipe can come down and out through the bottom. So I need to drill a hole big enough in the bottom for the pipe to go through. I also need to drill a hole in the top so that the air can come out of the box. I also need a hole through the side down here at the bottom to feed the power cord in, and that will run the vacuum. I got the front panel of the bottom section here, and I've already put the box in. I cut the hole out with my jigsaw. Now I want to put this in so that it's just back from the front, because I've got a power bar that I want to mount in here as well. But I need a hole also to put the cord for the power bar through. And then, like everything else, I'm just going to drive a couple of screws in to hold the front panel in place. Okay, now it's time to actually mount the cabinet. I've got it here. Slip it up until it's even on top. I've got a mark on the bottom here to line it up with. I know earlier I mentioned French cleats, but French cleats are kind of silly. Especially for something like this that can be mounted directly to the cabinet that it's beside and also to the wall. Well, I've got the wiring all fixed up here. I didn't show that because, let's be honest, that's pretty boring stuff. I put the vacuum in and fed the hose down through, so that's, there ready to use. All you need to do is try it and see if it actually works. The last thing to do is to make the door, and I've got a piece of new plywood for this. It is a scrap of plywood, however, and it's got one problem. The grain direction is horizontal, but I'm not gonna let that bother me. This thing does have crooked cuts on both sides, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make several passes to try to end up with one straight side, and then I can square it up with my panel cutting jig and then cut it to the right size from there. Another problem I have with it is that it's not quite big enough. After I made my cuts, I'm left with 28 3/8 of an inch tall, and the thing needs to be 29. So I'm going to cut a strip that's 5/8 of an inch thick and add that to the edge. And then after that's attached, I can band the other edges of the door panel, more or less just like I did with the other doors here. And then for a handle, I'm going to route a finger groove in that piece of solid wood at the bottom. All right, the door is finished and I'm ready for the hinges. The hinges I'm going to be using are these concealed ones right here. And I need to drill a hole for each hinge in the door. This is 1 3/8 or 35 millimeters, and it's about a 1/2 inch deep. So I finished putting the hinges on. Got it mounted in the cabinet here, got everything adjusted up so it opens and closes correctly. You're probably wondering how much this reduces the noise from the shop vac, and that wasn't what I put it here for mainly. Mainly I wanted a door on this to keep dust out and also to take the ugly off of this. This is not very good looking, and the door really pretties it up. Now once the weather stripping goes on, it'll reduce it a little bit more, but here's what it looks like or sounds like with the door on. So it is still pretty loud, but I don't think it's any louder than what it was in the old cabinet. The only difference is now it's at ear level, whereas before it was closer to the ground. And you know what, when you're sanding, you got this machine running, and that's not exactly quiet either.